The Shock Therapy Podcast.
It's that boom, boom, boom.
At that point, electric current is passed between the electrodes and the head.
That shit just kicked in. I just feel like I smoked 1,000 blunts.
For discovery brings with it the penalties of society. Shame, arrest, prison.
Oh, sorry, I was taking life seriously.
I'm over the end dangerous territory. This is dangerous territory right here. I'm in.
I don't know what psychotic means, really.
Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Shock Therapy Podcast for Tuesday, August 11th, I believe. I'm your host, Carson McGregor, and I know this podcast is usually kind of silly if you've been watching or listening. It's kind of a silly podcast where I talk about just the weird, bizarre shit that's on my mind. I try to make jokes and just kind of fuck around for 30 minutes, but today I have a topic. I have a real topic. Something I want to talk about, just something that's on my mind, that's a little bit more serious, is the video body cam footage of George Floyd, of the arrest, the moments right before his death. And I saw on Fox News, because at my one job, my boss watches Fox News, and it's just on in the background. I hear certain things. I just pick up on stories that they're running. And they mentioned offhandedly that was footage that got leaked. It wasn't supposed to be in the public eye, but it got leaked. And I don't know. I didn't really think much about it when I heard that, but then I saw on some sort of article, I think it was on XXL.com. It was just an offhanded article, new video footage of the body cam of the arresting officer, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I remember that. So let me watch it real quick. Not to be voyeuristic, I'm just curious how the situation occurred and how it could have gotten that deadly that quickly. So I watched it, and I gotta tell you, it's not a good watch. It's just not. There's not much I saw that I wasn't expecting to see. The cop, pulls up on him and pretty quickly draws his weapon. Now, I'm going to try to be fair here. I'm going to try to be as impartial when I'm describing this as I possibly can be, but this cop, he draws his weapon, and I understand kind of, because they are pursuing a suspect who has a criminal history and a history of drug use, so things can be unpredictable. You don't know how people are going to act in certain situations. I'm not trying to say I don't empathize with the life of an officer, because you really are dealing with people on a day-to-day basis. It could either be just an everyday person that nothing's going to happen, no confrontation's going to ensue whatsoever, or there could be confrontation, and it's just a dice roll. You really don't know at any time. So that's why officers are taught to be on their toes, to be always kind of having their eyes peeled and be observing and figuring out the room when they walk in. That's why they kind of drill that into them when they're first becoming cops. So I get their apprehension to the suspect, if I'm trying to use big cop words, but he draws his gun pretty quickly because Mr. Floyd is not being compliant with the arresting officer. He is. He's just being slow with it, and that he doesn't come across as threatening or mad or like he's going for anything. He just looks like destroyed when the cop walks up on him. He just looks sad, very emotional. He starts kind of crying. He starts kind of mumble talking. You really can't make out everything that he's saying because a lot of it is, just him talking to himself. He says, don't shoot me, please don't shoot me. It's like bizarre to see that he kind of, it's like he knew his life was going to end. A couple minutes, like he had a That's So Raven vision into the future, and he knew his life was going to end very soon. So that's bizarre. Now, the officer takes out the other two people in the car and he brings them over to the side, and he starts asking them for identification and asking them questions about where they're going. The one lady says, I'm just shopping or something like that, and my daughter's supposed to come pick me up. I don't have any ID. I think the dude showed some ID. They just seem like, I don't even know what's happening right now. Why are they fucking with this guy? Why are they fucking with George? That's kind of the vibe they give off. It's like, why are you fucking with this guy? But they're not trying to be in any way confrontational or get in the cop's face. They're just being like, all right, man, hey, do your thing. That's the vibe they give off. And when they ask the girl, why is he being so finicky? Why is George being so being so kind of strange in his behavior? She said he's been shot before. But she says it super casually. Oh, he's been shot before. It's like that if you've been shot before. I mean, that gave me all the context I needed for his behavior, for his strange behavior. If you've been shot before, or you've had traumatic experiences involving firearms or involving cops or any of that, yeah, you're going to have an emotional reaction to any type of situation that you're put in concerning firearms, cops, whatever. And basically, just to sum it up, I don't want to drawl on about this forever. He's not compliant with the arrest. He's not he's not just letting them arrest him. He is. He's not fighting back, but he's also kind of dead fishing them. Just dead fishing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get in the car. I don't want to, do this. I don't want to put my hands behind my back. But he's not like reaching for anything. He's not trying to do anything else. He just is super apprehensive about everything the cop tells him to do. Like he's frozen in some sort of shock. And that's basically it. It's just he's having an emotional breakdown, and the cops aren't having it. They're not fucking having it. They're just like, dude, get in the you're gonna have to get in the fucking car. It's like they're, restaurant workers. They close at 8:00. It's 7:58, and George Floyd just walked in. That's the vibe they're giving him. Like trying to be cordial, trying to be professional, but also like, dude, get in the fucking car. Order your fucking sandwich. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe they're giving him. And I looked at the comments on the video, because the video came that I saw. It was on YouTube, and it was under some sort of news source. I don't know if it was a conservative publication, a liberal publication, or just a nonpartisan, or at least claiming nonpartisan news publication. I have no idea. I don't remember. But it doesn't really matter. I was looking at the comments, and I went through a lot of them. I went through a lot of comments, because I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious of how people are seeing this situation, how they're taking it. And every comment I saw, there was no arguments. Every comment I saw was, thank you for posting this. The Black Lives Matter movement is a sham, and this proves it. This proves it, that he was resisting the officers' attempts to arrest him, that he was not being compliant, that he was on drugs, all this shit, YouTube is trying to fucking keep this away from us. You type in, somebody's commented, you type in George Floyd, and this is like the 11th fucking thing that comes up. YouTube is trying to censor this video so people don't see it, so people don't see the truth, That's their whole thing, is like, they're trying to, these liberal social media sites are trying to censor our conservative views. I don't even know if it's a conservative liberal thing at that point. I mean, if you're kind of blind to police brutality still, that's not a conservative viewpoint. I think that's just a moronic viewpoint. That's just stupid. I mean, you can be a conservative and still understand that that's a huge fucking problem. you can be rational. You know, you don't have to agree with a side of an argument just because a lot of people that wear the same color shirt that you do and go to the same conventions that you do are on the news making that argument. You can disagree with your own side from time to time if they're being ridiculous. I don't know. I'm not trying to call anybody out here. The people I'm trying to call out are the people that were commenting on that video, because I didn't see one fucking comment that said, well, this doesn't prove anything. This doesn't prove anything but the fact that this guy got killed for no reason. He didn't pull a gun. He didn't try to fight them. He didn't do anything. He just wasn't being compliant to being arrested. I mean, it's even right on the barrier of resisting arrest. I don't even think it's quite resisting. It's more just not not allowing them to arrest you easily by just, playing the whole paralysis card. Like, I'm not going to help you arrest me in any way. You can arrest me. I'm not going to fight it, but I'm not going to help you. I don't know. And yes, okay, you can make that argument. Like, well, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't fucking do that. You should just get in the back of the cop car because, if you don't, then the cop's going to see you as a threat. And you just got to do what he says, man. Like, okay. But if you don't, do you deserve to get killed? That's at the end of the day, that's what happened. So that's the only thing that really fucking matters here, right? There are plenty of suspicious deaths of young black men, older black men, people of color in general by police. And it's not even just people of color. There's just a lot of suspicious things involving the police and killing people. There's a lot of cases of this. And I'm sure a bunch of them are legit. A bunch of them, like, this person was posing an actual threat, or they really made it seem like they were posing an actual threat. But this one, to me, is cut and dry. It's cut and dry. They had him in handcuffs like 3 minutes into the video. It's over. You got him. And I'm looking at the video. I'm looking at these cops. Got this guy in handcuffs. And they're all going, like, yelling at him. Like, calm down. Like, get in the back of the car. Like, they're barking these commands at him. And I'm yelling at the video. I'm yelling at the fucking video on my screen, like, tell him to breathe. Level with him like a human being, like a human adult. Just say, hey, man, I think it seems like you're having a panic attack or something here. So you can sit down on this curb. Let's talk this out. We can take our time. We can take a fucking minute, take a breath, and just relax. Doesn't that make more sense, even for the cop's safety? Right? You want the person that you're arresting, that you're putting in the back of the cop car, to be chilled out and relaxed and okay. You don't want them to be, in this mindset of, like, panic, because then they're more liable to try to do something in a panicky way, try to get out of the car or try to, attack somebody. Not saying anything about this particular situation. I'm just saying across the board, that seems like the right thing to do, is to calm the suspect down. You have him incapacitated. He's incapacitated. He's got handcuffs on. What is he going to do? Worst case scenario, he tries to run away, but he's not going to get very far. You ever tried to run without using your arms? It's very hard. It's not easy. So that's the worst case scenario. I mean, are you so stretched for time that you got to get him booked right fucking now? Can't you just take him and sit him on the corner, take a second, kneel down, look him in the eye, tell him, we're not going to hurt you, in a calm voice? Listen to what he's trying to tell you. Even if what he's trying to tell you is bullshit and it's not relevant, let him breathe and have these emotions so that he can calm down and the arrest becomes safe. So there's no hostility in what's going on. Eliminate the hostility. Don't up the ante of hostility by adding more hostility. You know, the authoritarian method of policing doesn't always work. It works sometimes. Sometimes a cop can just express authority, yell, be very, just big in a room, make his presence really known, and he can take control of that room and make everything okay. That is part of being a cop, is, just making your presence seem powerful so that you can control a chaotic situation. But there's they don't distinguish. Or at least in this case, they're not distinguishing that the situation isn't really chaotic. This person is chaotic. And another argument, he might be on drugs. It seems like he was on drugs. He's probably on drugs. Okay. How? I get how that's relevant to the safety of the officers, because if somebody's on drugs, they're more likely to do something erratic. But when I watched the video, it played way more into my suspicions that we need better training for cops than anything else. It didn't feed into some narrative for me that we need to eliminate the police, we need to abolish the police, we need to get rid of all the police. It's a completely corrupt system from the fucking top to bottom. That's not what it felt like to me. It felt like these people are trying to do their jobs as best as they can see fit, but they don't know how to handle a situation like this. But it also, I bear in mind that I think I could handle that situation. I think I could level with another man and try to get on his level. But at the same time, since I'm I'm a liberal snowflake simp, I couldn't arrest somebody aggressively. I couldn't kick down a door when it needs to be done. That's not my skill set, right? So there needs to be a balance of skill sets in the police department. It can't just all be door kickers. There has to be a couple fucking shrinks in the mix. I mean, the amount of stories, if you ever do the research, I'm not saying I'm a well-researched guy. I'm not. I go, on situations like this, I go strictly off emotion. But, if you ever did the research into people with schizophrenia and similar mental health disorders and their interactions with cops, having somebody that's an expert there makes everything 1,000 times safer. Because if you got a schizophrenic guy, right, and he's backed up in an alley with a knife, and he's having some sort of episode, some sort of mental health breakdown, where he wants to hurt himself, he wants to hurt other people. What is approaching him with guns gonna do? Drop the knife? He's not gonna drop the knife. He's not in the right state of mind. So what's your second option? Shoot him? Because he's having a mental health crisis? He deserves to get shot? That's the solution. Or you could have somebody that knows something about schizophrenia come in with knowledge and try to talk this guy down from the ledge. Metaphorically speaking, talk this guy down from the ledge. Get on his level because he's seen that level. He knows what that level is like. Maybe not personally, maybe this expert doesn't have schizophrenia, but he understands it because he's researched and experienced and educated. You get a guy like that, everything becomes okay. Maybe it's not always perfect, but you're going to kill a lot less people. A lot less people who probably don't deserve to get killed. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry I'm getting so fucking serious on this one. It just makes me angry. It makes me angry that there are so many people out there that are just, the false equivalencies of their arguments are baffling. I don't know, man. I really don't know. Because to me, there is no reason that should have happened. And it's not even worth making the points. The points that they're trying to make in the comments of this YouTube video that I'm getting so riled up over. It's not even worth making a lot of these points. Well, he was resisting arrest. So fucking what? He didn't he wasn't threatening. He wasn't resisting arrest in a threatening fashion. If somebody's resisting arrest and they try to run away, do they deserve to get shot? Is that what you're telling me? That they deserve to get shot because they ran from cops? Yeah, you shouldn't run from cops. You shouldn't. You also shouldn't deal drugs. You shouldn't embezzle. You shouldn't, steal from the supermarket. But do you deserve to get shot for those things? I think evading the police is pretty low on the totem pole of immoral things to do. There's a lot worse things you could do. So why does that one give the cops the right to take your life? That's silly. And him being on drugs is also irrelevant because, they're cops. They should know what people on drugs are like. More than most. Shouldn't they? I know what people on drugs are like, but that's because I'm a former drug user. I did drugs with people. I know what people act like when they do fucking crack. I know what people act like when they do meth. I know what people act like when they're on acid. Just because I've been around it. And I haven't been around it nearly as much as a cop on the force. They see that way more because that's their job. Their job is often to deal with people that are on these substances. So they should kind of know the behavior. And I don't know, man. I don't think they deal with it in a good way a lot of the time. And that's just my perspective on it. I don't know. Ben Shapiro has that show on Snapchat. I think he has it on his YouTube channel, but they have a version of it on Snapchat that's a little bit more bite-sized. And I've seen a few episodes, and I like to watch it just to hate watch something, just to watch somebody I completely disagree with most of the time. Not saying that I disagree with everything the guy says, because he is a rational dude for the most part. Ben Shapiro is a pretty rational person, I think. And he's a smart guy. I just think he's also willfully ignorant a lot of the time. He takes into account the research he's done, but research that others have done that contradict his points is irrelevant to him. He's just as bad as anybody else when it comes to that type of stuff, but he hides under this veil of, facts don't care about your feelings. Well, do they care about yours, Ben? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that these facts make more sense than these facts to me in my conservative brain, so that therefore they are the valid facts? He's just as bad as anybody else. But just because he talks clearly and coherently, and he sounds like a fucking nerd, sounds like a goddamn accountant, everybody listens to him and acts like he's the smartest guy alive. I don't know. He just pisses me off sometimes. Some of the stuff he says. That video he put out a while ago for, I think it was PragerU, about how Hollywood is like teaching us liberal values. And his points were all about well, they showed gay couples on TV and Will and Grace, and they showed this on Friends, and they showed this on... And I'm like, are you out of your goddamn mind? What is the point you're trying to make here? That they show things on television that are indicative of the times that we're in, the changing times that we're in, because it's relevant? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what you're trying to fight against? You know, he has enough silly shit that he says that he shouldn't be taken as seriously as he's taken by a lot of conservatives. However, there are plenty. I always this is a bad habit I have on this podcast, is every time I trash conservatives or I trash liberals, I always go back to trashing the other side so that I can make it seem all balanced, fair and balanced. Like I'm the real Fox News out here. I'm fair and balanced as fuck. There are plenty of liberal, talk pieces that are the same way. They're the same way. John Oliver is the same way. So the difference there is that John Oliver is funny, and that negates a lot of it for me. I think if you're honestly funny, you can have some silly points. You can have some silly shit you could believe. But you also can't come across completely as an intellectual. And I don't think John Oliver does that a lot of the time. I think he's self-aware enough to admit when he's a dummy. He doesn't do it all the time, and he does try to appear as the smartest guy in the room in a lot of ways. But I don't know, at least he has some sense of self-awareness. I don't think Ben Shapiro really has as much self-awareness about him as a guy like John. There's not a whole lot of conservative, like really conservative funny people out there. Like, tell me who they are, if they exist. I know Nick DiPaolo. Nick DiPaolo is the only one I can really think of who's super conservative and fucking hilarious. He's funny. If you saw his new special, he's goddamn hilarious. He has super conservative ass values, like super into Trump, like genuinely in his heart, super duper into Trump, super against liberals, super against political correctness, very against a lot of the points that I feel strongly about, but he phrases it in a way that's funny. That's the great thing about humor, is it breaks down those barriers between things like political parties and religion, because if something's that goddamn funny that you just have to laugh at it, you've just bonded with somebody who you disagree with. And what's more beautiful than that, That's why I like guys like John Oliver. I've said it before in this podcast that I don't like Colbert, and I don't like these like late show guys that poke a lot of fun at the president, and just they come from a super, super liberal perspective, but they're not that fucking funny about it. They you say the same things over and over and over again, and it's a lot more applause break comedy than real comedy. There's not a whole bunch of gut laughs. John Oliver, he adds enough silliness to the whole deal that it actually makes it really funny to watch. Jon Stewart was the same way. Jon Stewart was hilarious. But I can't think of, outside of DiPaolo, I can't think of a whole bunch of really conservative funny people out there. You can argue Rogan, but Rogan's a lot more of a lefty than I think the press makes him out to be. The press makes Rogan out to be like he's some sort of right-wing pundit, which is crazy. It's fucking crazy. Like, have you listened to the guy? He's clearly not. He's just a skeptic about a lot of things. About the transgender movement. He's a skeptic about it. There's nothing wrong with that. Can everybody stop acting like there's something wrong with, being skeptical about certain things? The only real points he's made, that he really truly feels strongly about, is that you shouldn't give young kids hormones, like that would change their gender. You shouldn't give that to kids at a young age because they're not mature enough to make that decision yet. That's the thing he feels strongly about. And honestly, I agree with him. I agree with that sentiment. You should let your kids do whatever they want to do when it comes to their decisions, when it comes to how they dress, how they act, how they behave, what they want to be called, what activities they want to engage in. You gotta let your kids be who they are, as long as they're not damaging themselves. You can't willingly put hormones in your child because of something they told you when they're 13. You just can't do it. I don't think you should do that. Now, in 50 years, I could be completely fucking wrong with that statement. You know, in 50 years, people could look back on people that think like I'm thinking right now and be like, man, that was so archaic. People thought you shouldn't give hormones to kids. Like, they were just suppressing those kids who wanted to be who they really were. Maybe. But I think it's fine to be skeptical about certain things. See, I started out on this left-wing tangent and I ended it sounding like just super anti-transgender, which I'm not. I think I'm clearly not. It's just that's a point of Rogan's that he gets a lot of shit for that I truly agree with him on. You know, it's not enough to just be accepting anymore. That's the problem with the idea of cancellations and the idea of like crazy censorship of what people say. Because canceling doesn't work. It does not work. I think that's been proven time and time again. Only people that have been effectively canceled are, R. Kelly, Weinstein, Cosby. Louis didn't even get canceled. He got canceled in the sense that he lost his show and he lost a lot of things, connections in Hollywood and respect from certain people. But he still sells out arenas. I mean, Louis is still doing his thing. He can still make money. He can still do what he needs to do to feed himself. You know, he's not canceled. It's really difficult to effectively actually cancel somebody. And I think that's where certain people got to take a chill pill. It is, just let people have their thoughts. Let people think what they want to think. The world is not affected by what one person thinks. It really isn't. It's really not. And unless they think something super out of fucking line, then I don't see what the issue is. Here's a better example of why it's impossible to cancel. 6ix9ine isn't canceled. He has a case that is documented of him hooking up with like a 13-year-old when he was an adult. And he's topping the Billboard charts. I mean, he's a controversial character, don't get me wrong. He's definitely a controversial guy because of all the antics he's involved in, the snitching thing, and how he behaves on social media, and how he trolls people, and how he comes after other rappers. He's definitely super controversial, but he's not getting less famous, and he's not getting less attention. So that's my little rant on cancel culture. I'm sure I'll come back to that on podcasts in the future. The Nick Cannon thing really pissed me off. That one fucking really pissed me off because he's actually taking the steps to become a better person and learn, and people just aren't buying it. It's fucking silly. It's fucking silly. I don't know. That's enough from me for this week. That's definitely enough from me for this week. I hope we find a better system of policing. I hope that George Floyd didn't die in vain. I hope Breonna Taylor didn't die in vain. I hope there's a solution to this that works. And I hope we can stop fighting about it because there's no reason to fight. There really isn't. I think we all believe similar shit. We're all way closer to each other in opinion than we think we are. It's all just minutia that we disagree about, just very slight minutia that we disagree on that's making us believe that we're so far apart in opinion. I think it's bullshit. But anyway, that's enough. That's enough of my bullshit. Drink RC Cola. Give your mother a hug. Don't play on train tracks and sway for president. All right, I'm out.